Today we're going to do a review for PC7. The goal is to find all the zeros for each quadratic. We're not concerned about the vertices, like last week, only the zeros. So for a problem like this, we're going to take whatever is in each set of parentheses and set it equal to 0. X plus 5 equal to 0. And x minus 7 equal to 0. These are one-step equations. We would subtract 5 or add 7 to both sides to get our answers. And there are two of them. On the right, we're going to replace y with 0. Everything on the right stays the same. We're going to add 25 to both sides. We get 25 is equal to x plus 5 squared. We're going to take the square root of both sides. And on the left, the square root of 25 could be a positive or a negative 5. And on the right, the square root and the square cancel out. We're just left with x plus 5. So this is split into two possible equations. We can either say that 5 is equal to x plus 5, or negative 5 is equal to x plus 5. That came from this equation here. It's split into a possible positive answer or a negative answer. We solve these separately by subtracting 5. We get 0 is equal to x as one of our zeros, or negative 10 is equal to x as our other 0. Next row, the first one is in intercept form, so we again set each set of parentheses equal to 0. X minus 3 is equal to 0. 5x minus 3 is equal to 0. Here we'll add 3 to both sides to get x equals 3. Done. And on the right, we'll add 3 to both sides to get 5x equals 3. And then we'll divide by 5. So our final answer will be x is equal to 3/5. Two zeros. On the right, the first thing we'll do is we'll replace y with 0. So we have 0 is equal to negative 3 times x minus 2 squared plus 27. We're going to cancel out the constant first. So since it's plus 27, we'll do minus 27. We get negative 27 is equal to negative 3 times x minus 2 squared. Then we're going to divide by the coefficient, which is this negative 3. We end up with 9 is equal to x minus 2 squared. When we take the square root of both sides, we get plus or minus 3 is equal to x minus 2. And this is where we split into two possible equations. The first one is 3 is equal to x minus 2. And the second one is negative 3 is equal to x minus 2. The positive answer and the negative answer. Up here at the top, we're going to add 2 to both sides. We get 5 is equal to x. And on the right, when we add 2 to both sides, we get negative 1 is equal to x. Those are the two possible answers. For the bottom left, I'm going to show you how to do this problem on the calculator. And the first step is we press y equals, this button in the top left. And then we're going to enter our equation exactly as written. 2, parenthesis, 4x plus 1, parenthesis, 2x minus 3, and press enter. If we wanted to see what the graph looked like, we could press graph, and we can identify about where our zeros are, there and there. To calculate those zeros, we press second trace. So second is this blue button here, and trace is near the top right, and this brings up the calculate menu. We're going to choose 2, or press down and press enter to calculate a 0. It asks for a left bound. So if I'm going to choose this 0 on the left, I'm going to make sure my blinking cursor is to the left of that 0 and press enter. Then I'm going to move my blinking cursor to the right of that 0 and press enter again. You can guess if you want to, or skip it by pressing enter. And that 0 is at negative 0.25. To calculate the other one, same steps, second trace, choose 0. And now I want to make sure that my cursor is just to the left of this 0 here on the right. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to move it till it's just to the right of that 0 and press enter. This one is at 1.5. You could use this method for all of the problems. I think some of the earlier ones are easier to do by hand, though. For the problem in the bottom right, I'll go back to y equals. I will clear this out. To put 1/3 into the calculator, we're going to use parenthesis 1 divided by 3. X plus 2 squared minus 3. If I look at my graph, it's going to look something like this. If I want to calculate these zeros, I press second trace, go down to 0. So I'll do the one on the left first. I'm going to press the left arrow a whole bunch of times until I am to the left of that 0. Press enter. Go to the right of it. Press enter. Guess. And there it is at -5. Repeat those steps. Second trace. Go down to 0. And I'm going to move my blinking cursor just to the left of this other 0. And I'll do the same thing to the right. Press enter. And I have my other 0, which is 1. On the test, you're going to have some irrational decimals. So this method will be necessary to find the zeros.